Hey everybody, Jay Serrato here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another lesson and we're going to talk about what I do to make the most out of memorizing solos. Memorizing or transcribing a written or recorded solo, in my opinion, is the fastest way to make progress on the instrument. Just simply learning the notes and being able to play it back, while that's really great, it's one of my favorite things to practice. You can get a lot out of it, but that's really only half of it. In order to make the most out of it, what I do now is I do 4 simple steps, okay? 1, before I even learn the solo or try to play it, I make sure I go through and I learn the chords. The reason why we learn the chords is more into part 2. So learn the chords first, then you learn the solo. Okay, so step 2, what I do after I've done all that work, really worth it if you stop and you analyze note for note what's being played. And when you can compare the notes that are being played to the chords, then you're gonna have a bunch of light bulb moments like, okay, I see what they're playing now. Oh, that makes sense. If you know the theory, great, that's awesome. But let me explain for players who might not know that much about theory, because I don't want you to be discouraged if you don't know what all of these notes are and all the theory is. Without getting too far off into the weeds about, what it is, what alteration it might be, just try to think of, at first, if this is all you can do, just try to think of it as diatonic, it's in the scale, or it's not in the scale. I hope that helps anybody who's struggling with getting some theory together, because I don't want you to put off learning solos because you don't understand all the theory that's going on. Okay. Number 3, I'm super guilty of this, especially before in the past. Pay as much attention to the rhythm as you do the harmony. Saxophone players, we get really bad at just thinking about notes, like notes on the staff, like which notes we're playing. And we should be paying much more attention to the rhythms that we're playing and try to create interesting lines rhythmically as well as harmonically. And then number 4, so this is it right here. Once you got it all down, you learned the chords, you learned all the notes in the tune, in the solo, and you can play it and you can execute it. I really say learn it in other keys. Learn it in all 12 keys if you can. And it's made a big difference in my playing. I feel like I can hear a big difference, but even more so, it's made a huge positive impact in my confidence when it's time for me to play. Now I feel like I've played these progressions enough in every single key, and even if I don't remember all the solos or all the lines that I've learned in all 12 over the last couple years, it's in here somewhere because I've done all that work. Let's talk about this solo, St. Thomas. Very hip rhythmic ideas that contrast between very inside playing with like a few notes that just slip outside. It's unbelievably good. And it's got a 3-6-2-5 turnaround. It's where you got a minor 2-5 and you got a major 2-5. So if this is getting a little ahead of some of you, the 2 minor 5 dominant, that's a major 2-5, because most of the time you're resolving to a major key, major 1. Or the 2 half diminished, and then the 5 dominant, usually like with a flat 9 or some alteration, that's most of the time resolving to a minor key. So we like to refer to that as a minor 2-5. Well, St. Thomas has major and minor 2-5s, or minor and major 2-5s back to back. And it's a big part of the structure of the tune. Sonny Rollins just does a masterful job of navigating this. So if you don't have time to learn a whole solo and transpose it in other keys, that's totally fine. Don't be discouraged. Learn 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, whatever you can. Like what I did on this solo, just grab a 2-bar phrase, and then you can start applying it to all the different songs that you learn or you're gonna learn. That's how you're gonna really assimilate this into your playing and make it part of your own vocabulary. Let me just show you how I kind of work through it. So let's start with this one phrase right here. Let's listen to this phrase. Let's analyze that. Let's see what he's playing there. Let's keep it in tenor key, right? Just so we can follow along. The first chord is that F sharp half diminished, right? F sharp minor with the flat 5. It's another way of saying half diminished. And so he's really just outlining that chord with like a flat 9. So, but just think about he's playing that F sharp scale, right? Or he's just in the key. Right? There he lands on the B7. And so let's see how he treats the B7, right? So that's different. See, that D natural and that C natural at the top, those are the first 2 notes that are not in the key. So if you're not sure about what that theory is, that's okay. Just think, okay, those 2 notes are outside of the key, right? Now, if you do know the theory, then you know that D is the sharp 9 and the C is the flat 9. But if you don't know that right away, I just want you to recognize, okay, those notes are not in that regular B7 chord, right? Again, not getting too wrapped up in the notes. Look at the rhythm that he's playing, or listen to the rhythm that he's playing. So he goes from all 8 notes in the first bar, right, in the first bar, and in the beat 1 of the next bar, and then he switches it up with a really cool triplet line. Right, and he's using that triplet and he's aiming for that top note, and he nails that top note. So that's just wonderful bebop language. I mean, no other way to put it. Okay, so that's the first 2-5. That's a minor 2-5, right? F sharp half diminished, B7. Okay, we're gonna come back to that in a second, but let's just learn the rest of this line. The rest of the line is E minor, A7, 2-5, right? And let's see how he treats this. So that E minor, right? Right, that's the E minor, and then the A7. And then I played the first beat of the next bar because he's resolving it. So let's look at what he's playing. I simplified the rhythm there just to make it more obvious, but he's just playing the A7 bebop scale over the E minor. And this is gonna like maybe set off a whole wave of comment battles back and forth, maybe. I happen to believe, kind of like what Sonny Rollins is demonstrating here, that you do not have to play the minor, the 2 over a 2-5. I love when Bird, Sonny Rollins, Cannonball, I did a Sonny Rollins, Lester Young transcription the other day. He did the same thing. He just loves, they all love to play dominant over the whole 2-5. That's just bebop scale. That's A7 bebop scale over the whole thing. So I'm letting you know that, one, to let you know you don't have to try to nail every single chord, and just to help you understand what he's playing here. And then he just resolves it to F sharp, which is the 3 of that D7, right? Kind of the end of where we're going to stop with this line. So if you take from the beginning, and if you can, you have your horn, play it along with me, right? Slow it down some more, right? Let's slow it down a little bit more. And this is how I practice it. I slow it down as much as I have to get like all of the inflections, all the articulation, tone. I'm trying to mimic everything I can. Yeah, so that's how slow you can take it. You can go even slower than that if you need to. You do a little bit of intellectual thinking about the theory of what's behind this line, like what makes it sound so good. But at the same time, and to me, more important than understanding the theory and the intellectual side of it is the oral side of it. Being able to recognize the relationships between all of these notes. I would memorize these solos, and then I would get on the gig and I couldn't play what I was learning in the shed on these solos, and it was so frustrating. Not because I didn't know the theory, because I did know the theory, you know, intellectually on that level, but where I was missing was knowing it with my ears, understanding the relationships of each note to the chord, each note to the next note or the previous note, and how an entire line is constructed. That's when I started to make progress in being able to use this language for myself in a natural way where I wasn't forcing it. It just started happening. So we did the first 3 steps, right? Chords, learn the transcription, do some analysis. Starting about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I got very serious about learning solos in all 12 keys. Because I made this like something I do every day. Every day, even if I don't learn the whole thing, if I just learn 1 or 2 bars, I take it through all 12 keys. Or if I don't take it through all 12, I write down where I left off and I make sure I go through the rest, like the next time I pick up my horn. I just feel so much more confident when it's time to play than I ever did before I started doing this. But yeah, also, just from a purely technical side, we all know as horn players, you kind of have to know every single key because they're all feel a little bit different. They're all built a little bit different in your fingers. So today we're going to learn these 4 bars, and I'll just show you how I practice them going through all 12 keys. First thing is to understand you're not going to be able to do the whole solo in one shot, up and down in half steps or whole steps, right? I've been doing this for a couple years, and I feel like I've gotten way faster at it because I've just been consistent at doing it, but I still got to make it real small and just learn 1 or 2 bars at a time. Looking at that line again, you're doing go as slow as you have to and take as small of a chunk as you have to. So looking at this line, let's just play the first bar and let's understand what it is. Okay, so it's an F sharp diminished. And he starts on the 3, he's playing 3, 5, 7, and then a 9, flat 9, 7 again. All right, so let's play that a little bit. And then you can start taking it up and down in half steps. I like doing half steps for some reason, but some days I'll do a different interval, like whole steps. Like taking it through different intervals isn't really the point. For me, the point is just that whole thing about understanding the relationships between the notes. What am I playing? Right, so that's that first part of the lick. And then let's see what he's doing on the second part, right? And this is cool because he starts inside 5, 4, 3, right? And then he arpeggiates 3, 5, 7. And then he hits that little altered part. And then he actually ends with a little enclosure. That's just meat and potatoes bebop language right there. You kind of have to know that in all 12 keys, you know? Think about it this way, every song is going to have a 5 chord somewhere. And so if you've got this down in all 12, it's something that you can recall when you're actually playing. You know, you don't have to play the exact same line, but you're going to have that sound in your ears. Again, don't get too wrapped up in notes. Think about the rhythm. You're practicing this really hip rhythm. Right? You're getting a lot of really, really good use out of a very small piece of information. You get a lot of bang for your buck when you do it this way. Okay? And right now, I'm not learning a whole solo. Again, I'm only learning 2 bars right now. We've only scratched the surface with 2 bars. But you can do this for, I mean, I could shed this for 45 minutes straight. You know? Right? That's good stuff. Okay, the next line is the 2-5 E minor to A7, right? Let me see. Again, like I said earlier, he's really just playing bebop scale over this. You know, he starts out kind of outlining the 2. And that's, if you're thinking about a 2 chord right there, it's 5 3 2 5 3 2 1. 5 5 3 2 1 5 5 3 5 3 2 1. I've never been good about matching pitches with my voice, but I'm working on it. Right? That's just good stuff to know in all 12. And that's okay if you can't play it that fast. Go slow. Go slow. Right? Take it up and down every direction. That's really good practicing. So the next part is just pure bebop scale. So it's starting on the beat 3 of that first bar, right? Right? Let's just say that's all you can play at first. Check out the rest of this line and kind of wrap things up, right? Okay, so over that A7, he's just, again, pure bebop scale. I feel like I have to know bebop scale in all keys, like in all these different ways. And then here's Sonny Rollins like showing me a really hip way. It's all, none of this is outside the key. None of this is like altered, dominant, Phrygian, super Locrian, some crazy. It's all just bebop scale, but it sounds super, super hip. So I'm learning so much from this solo. Like, you don't have to alter all your dominance to sound heavy. Who's heavier than Sonny Rollins? I mean, and here he is just playing straight up bebop scale, making it sound absolutely wonderful. Right? That's basically it, you know. At the end, hopefully you can play the whole line. And this is going to be a good test for me because I just started doing this solo. I just learned this solo, and today, like sitting down to do this was my first try at transposing it. So let's just see how well I can do. Yeah, that's how I would work through it. I'm not trying to show off like, oh, let me show you how I can rip through this. I'm showing you how I work on this stuff. And yeah, man, it's tedious and it's slow, it's hard, but the more you do it, this stuff starts really just coming out in your playing. I tell you, after I practice this for even like 20-30 minutes, I feel like I'm already kind of understanding like how the line is constructed. There we go. Okay, so it's already starting to loosen up, it's starting to get a little bit better, and I really dig how he goes from playing an altered sound to a regular diatonic sound. That's super hip. I think there's 4 choruses in this song, in this solo, and so 4 different ways that he handles this progression. I want to learn them. I want to learn them all because it's so slick. Anyway, thanks again for coming back to the channel, for checking it out. None of this stuff is anything new that I came up with. It's all things, these are all things that I learned from musicians who are way better than me. I feel like I've taken the long road to get to where I am as a musician and as a saxophone player. If there's anything I can do to help speed up anybody else's progress by letting them know some of the mistakes that I made along the way, or some things that I wish I just did sooner, then I want to do that just because it makes me feel better as a person. You know, I want to share those things, and I want to hear everybody else around me play better. It's just the way I'm seeing things at this point in my life. So I just want to say thanks for checking out the channel. If you can, like and subscribe, that would be great. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.